of From. I watched it as recently as 2 months ago on Andrew's suggestion. And yeah, from the first episode, I was hooked. When was the last time y'all saw it?
A couple of weeks ago.
Back when I suggested it to you, I was trying to get Rob to watch it so I could rewatch it for this, but he took so long that we just had to move on. So it's been months.
Andrew was saying that he recommended it to you, Rex, and he's purposefully delayed gratification and not asking you or talking about it because he wanted to save it for when we were recording.
The only thing we talked about was there was a couple of episodes in it. You're like, why do you have me watching this thing? These people are terrible.
Both at the same time. The thing is, there's some good parts to it. The real problem is the characters, they're supposed to be the viewer's portal into this alternate world. They're so annoying that I didn't want to see them. You told me yourself, Andrew, that when you're dealing with this family that gets sucked in, just fast forward through their scenes and you won't miss anything.
The first thing you see is main guy, Sheriff Boyd, Harold Perrineau. He was in Oz. He was in the Matrix. Not the first one, but the second one.
He was in Lost as well.
He's got a resume. I see him in things. He probably has helmed a series before, but usually he's been more of supporting cast. So when I saw him walking down the street ringing his bell, wearing his cool black car coat, and I'm like, what the hell's going on here on the first episode? I liked seeing him. I'm like, oh, Harold, it's been a while. So I was happy to see him, and I'm glad he's in that role because I thought he did a real good job kind of helming the show,
He should be the center of the show.
Yeah, what a good actor.
Every time he comes on, I'm interested. What he's talking about's relevant.
And he's actually like making moves that matter, whereas everybody else is kind of hunkering down.
Right.
Like the scene when he was so frustrated, he just gutturally screams. That was just so well done. From his frustration and stuff and anger.
In that first season, they kept killing off all the characters I liked. I mean, it worked in like Game of Thrones, but that means that I had to spend more time with the characters that really get on my nerves.
Did you have a lot of like favorites in the colony house, and then when they got wiped out, you're just like, no?
Oh, not at all. I was glad. That was my favorite part when they were all getting wiped out.
Kill the hippies. Kill the fucking hippies.
Except for the crazy girl that liked to borrow clothes.
They should have kept her. She was one of my favorite characters.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when she went down at the beginning of the massacre, that was kind of shocking, Usually I complain because of the red shirt phenomenon where, okay, that whole hippie massacre began because a guy with dark hair and glasses was like all mesmerized by the girl outside the window. And I'm like, I've never seen that dude before. So he was obvious red shirt. Whereas her, the borrowing clothes crazy girl, she was a interesting, good character that was on every single episode. And then they, just killed her off.
That hippie thing, you saw it coming. You knew it was going to happen because, everyone's safety is dependent upon themselves, right? But when you're in a situation like that, you can do everything right, and it's one other asshole that fucks it up for everyone else. One person has to screw up, and then you got 20 people dead. Let's talk about this main family, because I think they are the huge detriment to this series. I don't like them. The wife gets on my nerves. She's so histrionic. The father is just a sort of a whiner, and then he's complaining about how everyone else isn't doing enough to help his family. I want them all to die except for the kid. And then they stop in the middle of this thing to have a discussion about their marriage. They're in a situation where you got monsters trying to rip them to pieces every single night. There's barely enough food to go around. You're on the edge of destruction, and you're going to sit down with your daughter and have a discussion about, are you and Dad going to stay together? Well, no, we're going to get ripped apart by monsters. We're all going to get killed.
We have bigger fish to fry right now.
So, did y'all watch, and I only bring this up just to get to my point, because I don't remember the actor's name, but did y'all ever watch My Big Fat Greek Wedding?
Yeah.
Okay, the guy that was the fiance in that movie, he was in like Northern Exposure, and I guess eventually that guy. For most of his career, when he was like a heartthrob kind of dude that was getting casted, he had the long hair, right? And when you see somebody who's like 40 years old or older that has hair like that, you just want to like slap him. So
he doesn't just have the hair; he has a man bun.
Yeah. They introduced the dad, and they're driving around doing their whole tour of the country, and I'm just like, he was like Blossom Russo's dad, you know, just like, you're not cool. You're not cool. Take the earring out of your ear. You're not fucking cool. I didn't like the dad. The wife was very shrill, and I didn't like her. I didn't like the whole interaction between them. But as I'm watching the show, watching a few episodes, occasionally I'd catch her like in a tank top or something. I'm like, oh, that's actually kind of a nice, milfy looking Hispanic lady.
Oh, they should have made her a mute then.
Well, I'll just say she grew on me. I hated her at first, but she kind of grew on me. The more tank tops I saw her in.
Her tits grew on you.
Yeah, very much so.
Well, once they gave her like a little like plot of her own, that helped.
Yeah, when she grabbed the marker and starts writing on the board and then starts investigating the wires and digging the hole. And I'm like, all right, that's good. She's actually, you know, picking a direction and going.
Yeah.
You know, damn everybody else. She's going to.
Yeah, that little bit of annoyance, like that kind of went away because at least they were doing something, you know?
Doing something interesting to the plot, because I don't give a shit about them or their relationship. I want to know what's going on in this weird-ass world.
And that the fact that they were actually addressing that was so weird, they started investigating why the electricity's working.
Yeah, I hate shows or movies where you have to swallow. Like, okay, you watch a zombie movie and nobody says the word zombie and they don't say, hey, look, zombies. They come up with all these like mental gyrations and like verbal things where they're walkers or they're, deadites or whatever. And you're like, so do they live in a world exactly like ours where there was never any zombie movies or fiction or anything? It leads to all these questions where it's just like, just say zombies.
With the family, it almost felt like that was a corporate note. Some executive came down and says, well, we got to feel like we got to
humanize.
All that felt very ham-fisted. Like, okay, we need these people to sort of ground the audience so they'll be able to enter this world easier. And it's not. I mean, we've been through enough times where that's not needed anymore. Because did not those scenes seem ham-fisted? Almost like they were written later on and then inserted haphazardly into the stories?
I think you are correct that entire family was a corporate note. I think that is a good observation.
Yeah, like someone had this like cool, darker story, and then they're like, no, we have to put in like a family element.
The kid, they hinted at it, but I have a feeling the kid and the town retard are the two. That's the A plot. They haven't really pointed that out yet, but you got the little ghost boy in white and all that creepy shit that started creeping in. I think the key to everything, and I hope they don't pull like some kind of Lost bullshit where they never had an answer the whole time.
They don't have an answer. It's pretty obvious they're just making this up as they're going along.
You think it's a Lost situation?
Until the end of the series, I didn't realize that the people from Lost wrote this. But it's not the bad people from Lost, it's the ones that would actually do the more interesting things. So I'm hoping that something good comes of this.
Yeah. These are the same guys that did Lost, so they're going to do it the same way. They're going to throw a whole bunch of weird stuff out there and then see what sticks and what doesn't. The ghost kid could be just another polar bear. That's the exact same thing of Lost, right? The island in Lost was something that moved around and had multiple civilizations building on top of it. You see the same thing here.
Were you overall satisfied with the conclusion of Lost?
There were some plot holes. There were some things that make no sense. There were some things never discussed. But if you went in there looking for what's going on with these characters, then yeah, I was satisfied. I think we had an answer, maybe not the answer. I enjoyed it.
Didn't they drop whole plots like when they were trying to do like figure out the number codes and stuff that they never resolved?
They explained all that.
Did they?
It didn't turn out to be that big of a deal.
Look,
every character had an arc. And every character's arc was fulfilled. And then re-examined in the last season.
Something I appreciated in this show, like when they did, when they were in the tent and the giant spiders started attacking them and they're being pulled along, it gave me vibes of like classic Doctor Who. They're doing the story. They don't have the budget to make it look good. So I thought it was like a quaint little way to do that. Like I appreciated that. I liked the reveal with the telephone tower when it was just a voice coming in. It was just another trap.
All right. What about the tech genius that gets trapped in there? What do we think about him?
He reminds me of someone I know in real life.
Is he the Hollywood rich guy?
Yeah, he's the tech guy. He's kind of like supposed to be like I don't know.
He was passing through. He was like Michael J. Fox and Doc Hollywood, where he just
Yeah.
got trapped passing through, and nobody's given him a pig yet, but they're going to.
Nice pig there, Doc.
Thank you.
I liked how he was so dismissive and disbelieving, and it took him like 4 episodes to finally be like, oh shit. Like what little Asian cop had to bring him and show him the bodies he was burying before the guy actually realized and somebody wasn't like punking him. He kept looking around for Ashton Kutcher or something.
Yeah.
I like him. I thought he was a good inclusion.
Right. He was good obnoxious as opposed to the father who's bad obnoxious.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I like when he just takes the girl's bike, and then like 4 episodes later, you still see him biking around on it.
Yeah, I liked how he's very much lost, and you can tell he has this whole like awesome life, and this is just like a horrible, horrible calamity. And I feel bad for him more than anyone else.
I'm interested to see what the civilizations before this were like, because the flashback episode where what's his face had to shoot his wife.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god, I visibly gasped. What a payoff when you're talking about like whatever trauma that drove the son and father away. And I was like really rolling my eyes through the whole thing until the reveal. That was a really good dramatic payoff.
And then he accidentally stumbled across these talismans. But what were they doing before that? It looked like they were just running around constantly.
They were hiding in different holes and shit each night, hoping that they wouldn't get killed.
The general suspense horror aspect of it. Like I think of when I think back on the show, I think of episode 1 with Harold walking down the road ringing his bell and everybody going inside. I thought that was awesome. I'm like, what's going on here? And then when he's struggling with himself about enforcing the law that he's imposed, and he has to end up putting that dude, the drunk guy, out into the trailer at night. And when he finally gets all those like zombie vampire things like just all of a sudden bust in and like a real quick flash of the scene. I think as a suspenseful horror type show, it's doing a really, really good job. The creepiness of the entities looking all 50s and weird and
what they are. Yeah.
The smiling.
Yeah.
And just sort of walking along because there's nowhere for these people to go so they can take their time. What got me though, that scene where they put him in the box, that felt dragged out because all of a sudden he totally destroys his authority, right? Because he tries to stop them from doing it even after passing sentence.
Yeah, and the only reason the guy ended up dying is because he sacrificed himself for no reason.
Which is ridiculous. Remember that TV show, The Survivors?
Oh, Survivors from the 70s. This does remind me of that.
This show was very prescient. Survivors from the 70s. There's a plague that comes out of China, of all places, wipes out 90% of the population. People have to rebuild. And this community comes together. And this one guy has this thing for a girl, and he ends up raping her and killing her. And then the wrong guy gets sentenced for it. It's a retarded guy who can't really defend himself properly, and they have to take him out and shoot him. And then they discover they shot the wrong guy. Now that's hardcore. That's a real hard discussion of what you need to do to survive. I felt that, he has to do these hard things as the sheriff to keep society together. And then for him to go at the last minute and say, I'm just going to let him go anyway, undermines everything he was all about. I mean, it totally ruined it. And then for him, the guy go, okay, yeah, I just want to be sacrificed is so stupid.
Yeah, I thought him deciding just to throw in the towel was a little bit weird, especially when, you're talking about getting ripped apart.
Because this guy isn't just putting himself up for death. He's putting himself up to be tortured for hours, then die.
Yeah, just kill him at that point.
Right. Maybe they changed it around because they felt that it'd make his character unlikable, but I don't. I think it'd make his character a lot more interesting if he had to do these hard choices. I mean, he already shot his wife. I mean, he already had to make that hard choice. I mean, that's what the character of Rick Grimes in Walking Dead.
Yeah, Rick Grimes, he never failed to cross the line when it came to being hard. I think probably the decision of From was probably another corporate note where it's like, this makes him too unlikable. We want people to be on his side. We need him to pull back a little bit.
Yeah, because it totally subverts everything they'd said up to that point. They'd spent 20 minutes debating this thing, right? A good quarter of the show at least. And then he just turns around. And then they go ahead and do it anyway so they can have their mutilation scene.
It's frustrating, but I think overall it's worth a watch. Because there are some interesting things going on in the show.
I think there are a lot of great shows had teething problems. There's a lot of good TV shows that had bad first seasons. First season of Buffy sucks. And that's like in the first season of the X-Files is bad too. You can't watch those episodes. And then I made a list here of a lot of shows that started out great that went to complete shit. So maybe it's a good thing for a TV show not to have that great of a first season so they can really adjust it and make the necessary changes.
It seems like some shows are fortunate enough to, like, after the first clumsy season, they find themselves, like Parks and Rec. Things like that find themselves. Whereas other shows, you can tell it's like a band's sophomore slump where they've got that story, that plot line, and they finally get it out, and they've been working on it for decades, and they finally get it all out on TV, and it's awesome. And then they're like, now what do we do now?
Like Westworld.
Yeah. Oh, God, Westworld. You could tell they had one season blocked, and we're like, okay, now what do we do?
Heroes.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah. That's a major example right there.
Right.
So if a show's a little bit clumsy and inexpert in its first season, that might actually be a good thing. Because,
Right.
if you like it and you're talking about it after that kind of first season that's a little bit clumsy, then, that means maybe it has room to grow. Predictions for season 2, which is starting by the time I get this video out, it'll probably have maybe a day or two left before it actually comes out, which will make it quite timely. But
my predictions are we're going to see some of the people killed come back as those creatures.
Oh, okay.
And then they're trapped in there for whatever reason. I don't know whether it's actually them converted or whether it's...
They just use them for psychological torture?
Yeah, something like that.
Or like their corrupted essence or something.
Right.
Maybe they're going to bring back Sweater Girl.
Right, I think so. I think they're going to bring back some of these characters. People are going to like, oh, it's great.
And they'll be barely recognizable because they'll be all like 50s squeaky clean looking. So that'll be kind of cool.
Those 50s squeaky clean people probably died in the 50s.
Oh, so when they come back, they'll actually look like hippies.
Right. I also think that there's going to be two warring factions, and then the one faction is trying to use the crazy girl to escape somehow.
Oh, do you think the monsters are trying to get out of this area too?
Yeah. They're trapped just as well.
Maybe the monsters were on vacation with their family when they got trapped also. Does anybody think that they're dead and it's purgatory?
No.
Oh, God. They said the same thing with Lost.
Didn't they actually show that in the actual show? Didn't they actually address that and show that they were alive?
They did. They talked about we're not dead. In fact, that was one of the things they were writing on the board is, are we dead? Are we not dead? I don't know, like as far as what's going on, the big question, is it purgatory? Have they been abducted by aliens? Are they Irish ghosts? Do y'all have any solid directions or...
I like Rex's idea now that the monsters are trying to escape themselves. I never even thought of that.
Half of them are trying to escape.
Yeah, well, that's cool. Like I didn't even think it was like a prison for them.
And they're bringing in people in order to keep the monsters from working together.
And who's they? Who's the controlling force?
Unknown. They are either magical or they have some sort of super technology.
So aliens or ghosts?
I feel like it's just gods, god of some kind that has set up this prison. So,
well, that's jerking them around. It said, "Quit wasting your time." That's a jerk move,
So, is it something feeding on all the anguish in this area?
It's impossible to tell. We need more information. We'll see in the second season. I bet you they don't even know themselves.
I like these kind of shows, but I wish they would move towards a resolution of a plot and finish a story.
All right, it's not really a prediction. It's something that if I was somehow involved in or responsible or immersed in this material something that I would be angling for. Imagine some kind of scenario where it'd be the sheriff. It'd be Harold Perrineau because he's the one that's like out there pushing the frontiers, searching for answers. So what if some kind of situation arises where he encounters one of those horrible zombie-like creatures and they actually talk and start working together in some way because maybe the monsters are also trapped and this one's actually decided to talk to the humans instead of eating them or something like that. So I'm talking about a power team up between the sheriff and an evil zombie.
Through the girl.
Through Sarah, Crazy Girl?
Yes.
I like that.
They're already communicating through her.
In season 2, we need to find out more about the evil zombies, and maybe they're not all evil. Maybe from their perspective, the Sith are the good guys, or whatever.
Quite frankly, I hope they do the right thing and kill off most of the members of that family. If you want to keep the mom around, fine, so she could be the life support system for the young boy. But kill off the father, kill off the sister. They are getting way too much screen time, and they are not interesting characters.
What if you took the entire season 1 and cut out every scene and interaction with that family and just mashed up what was left? Would it be a good show?
A fan edit. Yeah, it would be an excellent show. Yeah.
Yes, it would be. Andrew is 100% correct. He said just fast forward through the scenes with that family, and you don't miss a damn thing. In fact, it becomes significantly better.